Hey, cheers, everybody. Welcome back to Good Bets, Good Times. I am your host, Nate, with NT Sports. So thank you for joining me. We are continuing on with our college football preview episodes. We have two more left. Last week, we dove into the Big Ten, which was a lot of fun. This week, it is time to go down south to the SEC for our 2025 betting preview. And wow, timing is perfect for this one. I didn't even plan this, but, I just saw SEC Media Day kicked off today. And if you were anywhere on social media, you probably were bombarded with all of the quotes and all the comments from SEC Media Day, particularly from Mr. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey. Typical talking about, SEC strength of schedule, playoff expansion, the usual SEC propaganda that we hear year round from these folks. And hey, this is a non-biased sports betting podcast. So I don't want to sit here just because I'm located in Columbus, Ohio. I don't want to act like I have some anti-SEC bias here. Look, we're looking for numbers and we're looking to make bets, okay? Doesn't mean I can't be a little annoyed by the SEC folks sometimes. I get it. And if you're in the SEC, you're probably thinking the same thing about me in the Big Ten. You probably hate our guts. I get it. It's fine. Hey, but when it comes to sports betting, we're all on the same team here, all right? We're looking for numbers. I don't care who it is. I don't care what conference you're in. If it's a good number, I'm going to play it. All right. So we'll stay away from that. We'll leave it. We're going to focus this on the conference preview, and we'll go from there. And then, next week we have we're going to bundle up just for the sake of time and the fact that we're sneaking up on August here, and I still have a lot of NFL previews to dive into. So we're gonna bundle in the Group of Five and the remaining independents, talk through those, and give a quick betting preview on who could sneak into the playoff from the Group of Five conferences. And, I wish I could break down each single conference into an episode. It would be a lot of fun for all you sickos out there who love the mid-major football, a little bit of action, some Sun Belt, some Mountain West. Yeah, I totally get it. But we're just going to group it into one and go from there, break down who we think could sneak into the playoff as that Group of Five bid this year. Man, but other than that, what's been going on in the week of sports since we last spoke? And really not a whole damn lot, to be honest. All-Star break for baseball starts today. Home Run Derby is on as we speak. I did not get a chance to actually break down some numbers there. I typically like to throw a few units down on the Home Run Derby because it's a lot of fun. And that's what we're about here, folks. Making good bets, but also having some fun, having some good times. And there's what better time than the Home Run Derby. But not this year, just due to schedule, due to breaking down football, due to life, being a dad, having a job. Just didn't have time. So, sometimes you miss out. I always have FOMO when I miss a big sporting event that I want to watch and possibly get some action down on, but it happens. So we'll talk about the winners there this week. I'm rooting for my Pittsburgh Pirate, O'Neal Cruz, to pull that out. I think Kyle Raleigh is the number one favorite for this contest, and rightfully so. He's got like 38 home runs at the All-Star break, which is insane. And outside of that, we have training camp starting up pretty soon. Some rookies are reporting to some camps. Got a week or two left before all of these teams are going to be in camp, grinding down. We got about 2 weeks left before the preseason kicks off with the Hall of Fame game. We got Netflix second season of Quarterback on. And although I haven't had a chance to watch any of the episodes yet, I am going to. But I have seen some pretty neat highlights, man. I see Joe Burrow all over social media. He's a character. I'm a big fan of Joe, being an Ohio guy. I root for Joe. He was a Buckeye, always a Buckeye. And then the Lions are a trip, watching the interactions between Jared Goff and Dan Campbell, debating on whether or not to go for it on critical fourth downs, and just being able to see their process. And then also, The just the sharp offensive mind of Ben Johnson is being highlighted as well. I saw this play. I don't know if you saw it or not. The stumble bum play, and just being able to see and hear about how Ben Johnson literally stumbles upon a play where Jordan Love of the Green Bay Packers tripped coming out of the snap, and it distracted the linebacker in the secondary enough that the tight end was wide open going down the field and hit him for a long gain. And then they picked that up and said, "Hey, let's do this. Let's do it intentionally." And literally, they ran the same exact play against the Bears. Jared Goff came out, stumbled, and everybody sold it. The offensive line sold it. The running back sold it. They yelled ball. And sure enough, the tight end, Laporte, I believe, streaking down the left side of the field, wide open for a touchdown. I mean, that's the kind of shit I live for. If you're a football guy, if you're a sicko like me, man, that's seeing that behind the curtains, just the thought process, the strategy, just grinding the film and just seeing something like, hey, we can use this. We can put something together to exploit this. And they made it work. It's amazing. So that's why I love shows like that. I love the QB Netflix series. I think last year they did wide receiver, which is pretty interesting. We got Hard Knocks coming up. They don't give away too much, obviously, but just enough. Just a little taste of behind the scenes NFL with these coaches and players interacting, and it's a good time. So we'll catch up on that, and we'll talk more about it next week. But yeah, that's about it. I don't have nothing else to talk about in sports. It's the off season. We're head down, grinding out football preseason, breaking down all these teams and conferences, looking at futures bets. And man, I cannot wait until week 0 college football. And week 1 is going to be electric. This slate of games, that opening weekend of college football. And then it ends, I believe, on Monday night. And then we have Thursday night kicks off the NFL. And then we're off to the races, man. But let's dive into the SEC. Let's not get our preview here. But before we do that, just a couple things I do want to touch on. So we're on episode 8 of the Good Bets, Good Times podcast. And I'm having a lot of fun doing it. I want to keep doing it. You know, I'm a fan who also loves sports betting, and not only sports betting, but actually just like the art and science behind sports betting, learning how to actually win and beat the books and be profitable. And what I'm trying to do, and I said this from episode 1, I really want to build out a community. I feel like there are folks out there just like me who love sports betting, but may not be into the all the noise and the touts and people shouting about their locks and flexing their parlay cards online, but just want to really, learn how to grind out in sports betting and make good bets, find value, win, but then also still have a good time. I think there's a fine balance between getting too in the weeds, too granular, and nerding out on sports betting, but also, just kind of out there winging it, donating to the sports books every weekend. So I think we're finding a good balance. I think we're hitting our groove here. And once we really get into the swing of football season, we'll be off and rolling. But in the meantime, got a few things. If you're listening to the podcast, and you could do us a big favor, throw us a rating or review, provide some feedback. Whatever platform you listen to, we're on Apple, Spotify, iHeartMusic, Amazon Music, a few others as well. And then, follow us on the socials, connect with us. I like interacting. I like talking strategy, talking about picks, just talking ball in general, making jokes, having a good time online, talking about all the serious / non-serious sports news that is out there, particularly around football and basketball and everything else that's happening. So connect with us, X, NT Sports 22, Instagram, Facebook, NT Sports 22. We got TikTok, NT Sports .22, I believe. And then we have the website as well. I'm continuing to post resources on there. We do have the playbook, beginner's playbook. It's a PDF, about 20-minute read, just highlighting all of the foundational steps if you're looking to, get a little more serious about betting on sports and doing it the right way, managing your bankroll, finding value, monitoring the market, and trying to make good bets consistently over time that win over time, to keep you in the green and keep you, as I said, from having to continuing to deposit into your sportsbook accounts every other weekend. We've all been there. Last thing, I did create a new newsletter that's on Substack. It's free. And basically, along with the podcast, dropping every Tuesdays, every Thursday, leading up to football, and then throughout football season, I'm going to throw out a newsletter and basically just highlight, the picks we're eyeing up. I like to give rationale and thought process behind why we're eyeing up these picks. Make some notes on trends we're seeing, line movement, what we're seeing in the market. Talk about some lessons learned from the previous week, some wins, some losses, and any other strategy insights, pointers I want to throw out around sports betting, from someone who came up as a fan and over the past 4 or 5 years has really taken sports betting a lot more seriously and has really enjoyed it and continues to enjoy it and really wants to build out this group and this crew of like-minded sports fans who may not have aspirations to be full-on professional sports bettors, but maybe you want to have a little side hustle, make a little extra cash, or you just want to have fun, like I said, not just lose all your money every weekend. So connect with us. Feel free to go on Substack. My links are in all my bios, so you can subscribe to the email list, and we'll get you on the newsletter every week. And I appreciate the support. So if anyone is hanging out, listening, likes the content, I want to keep it going as long as possible. So feel free to support us in any way you can. Even just a like or a follow on one of the social apps is amazing. So thank you. And with that being said, let's dive into our SEC preview. So kicking it off, let's run through the futures market really quick and the odds for these teams to actually win this conference and what we're seeing out there. Yeah, Texas as the clear favorite. Consensus is plus 260. I see lines ranging anywhere from plus 235 all the way up to plus 300. We got Georgia at plus 350, pretty consistent. I think there is like a 380 out there. Alabama plus 450 all the way up anywhere from 375 up to plus 500. LSU is the fourth favorite at plus 700. We got Ole Miss at plus 1,000. Then you have a nice little middle tier of teams here who I don't think any of these teams can win this conference, but they're interesting teams. You have Tennessee, Texas A&M, Florida, South Carolina, ranging anywhere from plus 1,300 up to South Carolina at plus 2,000, which Lenora Sellers, we know how good he is. You have DJ Lagway in Florida. Mike Elko's crew is going to be solid. Tennessee as well. They just missed the top 5, and I see why. Maybe by the end of the season, we may see something to really jump on one of these teams. But as it stands today, don't see any value right now in any of these mid-tier teams, at least to win the conference. We'll talk about conference win or some season win totals as well, particularly around possibly Texas A&M being one that seeing some value to the under. Florida, slight value to the over. Tennessee is pretty solid there. South Carolina, maybe a little bit of value to the under. Auburn as well as a team we like to possibly go over to. So we'll dive in there. And then one dark horse that we love, and I really love this team, and I really hope I'm not really stepping in it here, but we'll talk more about Oklahoma in a minute, but we have them as our dark horse at plus 3,300 is consensus. You can actually get a plus 4,000, which I do like. So outside of that, bottom of the conference, Missouri's hanging in there at plus 4,000, and then it really drops off. Arkansas at 13,000, 30,000 at Kentucky, 30,000 at Vanderbilt, and 50,000 at Mississippi State. So not much going on at the bottom of the conference. Vanderbilt's interesting. I think there's some bowl teams potentially in here. This is the tier of teams that you see, and you're like, okay, can they win 6 games and make it to a bowl? Vanderbilt, I do like. Kentucky, Arkansas, possibly. Mississippi State's going to they're rebuilding. Going to have a rough year. But yeah. So back to the top. We mentioned Texas. the Longhorns. Favorite to win this conference, plus 260 is the consensus line. Can get, if you do like the Longhorns, you can get anywhere from up to a plus 300, it looks like. And our projections here have them also obviously as the favorite, but true odds about plus 283. So there is a little bit of value on the plus 300 here. I haven't fired on it yet, just for a few reasons. I want to do a little more digging here. I don't think I'll bet Texas to win the SEC. First of all, this is a team last year. If you look at their season last year, yes, they made it to their second straight playoff. They made it to the Final Four again. Played Ohio State really tough. Had that late fumble, one of the most amazing plays as an Ohio State Buckeye fan I have seen. Got taken down by the Buckeyes. And I think this year, this is the Arch Manning era. It kicks off here. Heisman favorite, Arch Manning. And the expectations for this team couldn't be higher. And it's a tough spot because, they come out, they lose to Ohio State. If they lose to Ohio State, I think they can win that game. But it is at the Horseshoe, and that's a tough ask for Arch to go into his first start into Columbus. It is a noon game, which I think we'd love to have that game in prime time, as we know. But it's going to be a great game regardless. If they do win that game, then by all means, Arch is the Heisman favorite. Texas is the favorite to not only win the SEC, but most likely win the national championship. But I need to see it. Last year, they lost 3 games. Regular season game to Georgia, again in the SEC title game to Georgia, and then to Ohio State in the playoff. So until Steve Sarkisian can go in and prove that he can beat the elite of the elite teams, and he's got to do it this year, then I'm not going to jump on the Texas bandwagon at this point. I got to see it. And we have Arch. The offense is loaded at the skill positions. The O-line's very inexperienced, but the defense is going to be good as well, once again. And would it surprise me if Texas goes off and wins the SEC in the national championship? No, of course not. But like I said, I just need to see it. I need to see something from Steve Sarkisian that says he can show up in these big games and get it done, especially in a playoff situation. They got to win the SEC and get that bye, and then they got to win 3 games against what's going to be very top tier elite opponents. So we'll see. Next up, we have Georgia, the Georgia Bulldogs. So 2024 was an interesting year. It seemed like it was a sort of a down year for Georgia, which is saying a lot because they still won the SEC championship, beat Texas twice last year. We know Carson Beck got injured. Gunnar Stockton came in actually helped him win the SEC championship game, and then just couldn't do anything against Notre Dame in the playoff game. But this guy, he's a dual threat quarterback. Dual threat-ish quarterback. He can run with his legs. He can add another element to this offense. And I think this offense will obviously be much improved in his first year as a starter. Kirby Smart, this is his 10th year. The roster's loaded. It's not, I don't think it's as elite as the Georgia Bulldogs of the past 5-6 years, but still great and good enough to obviously win the SEC championship again and make a significant playoff run. They are taking a step back. Georgia is anywhere from plus 350. I see a plus 380 out there. Looking at our numbers, our win total is at 9.5. We have them at 9.8. So a little bit of value actually on Georgia in the over, potentially winning 10 games this year and hitting that. So that's one that we're eyeing up. I said at plus 380, slight value. I think we have Georgia closer to 22% odds to win this conference. Plus 380 is 20% odds. So there's a little bit of value there on Georgia winning the SEC again this year. I think with all the Texas hype, Texas being a little overinflated there, overvalued. There could be some value here to jump in on Georgia if you like that. Haven't fired anything yet in the SEC, but Georgia is one that I'll definitely be eyeing up. And just taking a look at their schedule here. Non-con, Austin P and Marshall to kick off the season. They do play Charlotte also later in the season as well. But they do get Georgia Tech end of the year. That is a neutral site game, unfortunately. That was an amazing, amazing game last year at Georgia. Multiple overtimes. Georgia Tech almost pulled that off. Should have won the game. They're up 17 at one point. But outside of that, I mean, at Tennessee earlier in the year, they got Alabama at home, Kentucky at home, at Auburn, which could be tricky. Auburn is off a bye. You got Ole Miss at home, Florida, and at the neutral site in Jacksonville, Mississippi State. They do play Texas again this year, which is going to be a lot of fun. And then, like as I mentioned, finish up with Charlotte and Georgia Tech, which on a neutral, that's a very winnable game as opposed to, I mean, I don't really understand that, man. This game at Georgia Tech would have been electric in the Dome. I don't know. I get why they do it, but at the same time, it's just not going to have the same feel if Georgia had to go into Georgia Tech and play this game. But hey, there's obviously a clear path to 10 wins here for Georgia. They don't really have too many. I mean, at Tennessee, at Auburn could be tricky road spots. I don't think so. I think they'll be significantly favored in both of those games. And then outside of that, I mean, you have Alabama and Texas, and then Georgia Tech on the neutral. I mean, Ole Miss maybe can give them some fits, but there's a clear path here for Georgia to win 10 games and be right back in the SEC championship. And a lot's going to come down to Gunnar Stockton. Is he going to be this dynamic quarterback that we expect him to be? Although limited sample size last season, could not get nothing done in the against the elite Notre Dame defense in the playoffs, but with a whole season, off season of prep and, a decent schedule, I think they got a shot here. But, a lot of this is going to come down to, can Gunnar Stockton be that next great Georgia quarterback and get this offense back on track this year? Next up, we have Alabama. So Alabama had, I would say, a down year last year, obviously, for, Alabama standard. First year in the post-Saban era, entering the Kalen DeBoer era. And I think he's a great coach. I think I would not judge him by a 9-win season in his first year down in Alabama, taking over, filling those massive shoes left by Nick Saban. The couple questionable losses, too, especially with the quarterback they had. Jalen Milroe got taken in the draft. He was dynamic. I guess I understand he wasn't an elite passer. Nothing like what DeBoer had in Washington with Michael Penix, but thought they would have had a lot better season than 9-4 and losing that questionable game to weird game to Michigan in the bowl game. But they also had a tough time on the road last season. They did beat Georgia at home, who was ranked number 2 at the time. So they got off to a 4-0 start. And then the following week, followed that up with a loss at Vanderbilt and Diego Pavia. Beat South Carolina, then lost at Tennessee. Won a few more games, including a road game at LSU, and then lost at Oklahoma, a very down Oklahoma team, 6-win Oklahoma team from last year, and then finished up with that win at Auburn to end the season. But man, yeah, three tough road losses last year, and then looking at this schedule this year, they got the first game of the year against Florida State. ULM got Wisconsin at home, should win that. They do have to go to Georgia. Both teams are off a bye there, so that's going to be a great game. You get the revenge game at home against Vanderbilt. Not worried about that. Missouri, Tennessee, South Carolina, LSU, Oklahoma, Eastern Illinois, late in the year, random game, and then at Auburn. So, I mean, Georgia, South Carolina, Auburn, even Missouri can be tricky on the road. So they're going to have to improve away from Tuscaloosa this year, and I think they do. I think outside of Georgia, possibly going into South Carolina, I imagine that'll probably be a night game, primetime in South Carolina, and then finishing up the game at a much improved Auburn team this year to end the year. So, I mean, their win total sits at 9.5. It's pretty even. I mean, juice up -115 a little bit to the over there. I do have them at 9.6 wins, so I see some value, a little bit, teeny bit of value on Alabama's over winning 10 games here. And looking at their schedule, 10 games is definitely attainable. And they're sitting at about, I think the best odds you can get around is plus 500 from the win to conference, which I do see a little bit of value on there as well. I have them more around 18% chance to win the conference. True odds around plus 430. So at plus 500, yeah, I do like Alabama. Quarterback position, they announced Ty Simpson has been named the starter. And yeah, once again, it's going to come down to the quarterback situation. Same thing as Georgia. I mean, unproven quarterback coming in to lead this team. I do trust Kalen DeBoer and what he can do on the offensive side of the ball. They have an elite position group. They have obviously one of the best wide receivers in the country, top 2, right up there with Jeremiah Smith and sophomore wide receiver Ryan Williams. And Alabama's a legitimate playoff team. They came close with 9 wins last year. Big letdown game in the bowl game because they didn't quite make it into the playoff. I think they were just on the outside looking in and sitting around, team 13 or 14. But depending on how the quarterback position is this year, there's definitely a good shot for Alabama to be right in the thick of things come the end of the season. Next up is LSU. Man, this is an interesting one. I do want to be on LSU. I mean, Garrett Nussmeier, another legit Heisman contender in this conference. They have the typical LSU skill position players at wide receiver and running back. Big questions on the offensive line this year. So can he get the protection he needs to do what he needs to do? And I think he does. I think they throw the ball. I think they have an electric offense next year. 9 wins last year. But this year, man, they do have one of the most difficult schedules in the entire country, starting off with that big week 1 matchup against Clemson to start the season. Then they got La Tech and then Florida in week 3, Southeastern, and then at Mississippi. It's another tough SEC road game. Got a bye, and then South Carolina. They're not going to be an easy out this year. Got to go to Vanderbilt, and we know how Vanderbilt likes to spring those upsets, especially at home. A&M at home. Got to go to Alabama, Arkansas, Western Kentucky, and then at Oklahoma to end the season. So this is quite the gauntlet. I mean, I believe Clemson's at a neutral, but at Mississippi, at Vandy, at Alabama, at Oklahoma, and you sprinkle in Florida, A&M in there as well. South Carolina at home. I mean, this is a tough road for LSU. Their win total sits at 8.5. It is juicy over as well. I have 8.4, so I think the number's pretty much spot on. Not much value there. A plus money might be a little value to the under. Seeing them hit 8 wins, but I have a hard time seeing this team take a step back. I mean, 9-win team last year. This is I don't know. Is Brian Kelly in the hot seat? This has got to be a make or break year for Brian Kelly. This is his 4th season at LSU. There's super high expectations. This team is teetering on, actually not even teetering anymore. I think they've fell, well out of the elite tier of the SEC with the Alabamas and Georgias and even Texas now. It's going to take a playoff run, I think, for Brian Kelly to, I'm not saying he's going to get fired if they win another 9 games and miss the playoffs, but I mean, this team's got to make a playoff run this year for him to be super safe down in Baton Rouge. He comes off of 2 10-win seasons in his first couple years. Obviously, he had Jaden Daniels in 22, in 23. Started Garrett Nussmeier last year, won 9 games, had a rough stretch middle of the season, losing to A&M, at A&M, Alabama at home, and then at Florida before finishing up with Vandy in Oklahoma. So the schedule is much more difficult this year. They're going to have to win quite a few games away from Baton Rouge to get to that 9-10 wins again and push for a playoff berth. I don't think they do it. I mean, unless Nussmeier is truly like the Heisman candidate and he just comes out and he's electric, 2019 Joe Burrow type electric. I don't think this team's getting to the playoffs. This schedule and this conference is too tough. 9 wins. I mean, I think they can get over the win total, hit 9 wins, which puts them right on the edge there, similar to an Ole Miss or Alabama last year, South Carolina last year. But yeah, LSU's stay away from me, unfortunately. And then Ole Miss, this is another interesting one. They're sitting at plus 1,000, and there's a few teams that are very close to this top 5 tier, as I mentioned, and yet Tennessee and Texas A&M at plus 1,300 on the outside looking in. You have Florida and South Carolina as well. But Ole Miss, they're a team that just missed the playoff last year, and no fault of their own, really. I mean, you had Jackson Dart. They had an absolutely elite electric offense. I think top 2 offenses in the entire country last season. Just crushing teams most of the year. But they did go and lose to Kentucky at home. Lost to Kentucky at home. They lost to LSU at LSU in overtime, which was a tough game. And they lost at Florida, an unranked. They lost to 2 unranked opponents last year, one of which on the road late in the year in Florida, which knocked them out of the playoff race. They were right teetering on the edge there towards the end of the season, but man, you can't go lose to an unranked Florida team on the road and claim you're deserved to be in the playoffs. I know that's a tough game. It's tough to win at the Swamp, but still. And this year, they're rebuilding around Austin Simmons, sophomore quarterback. He has elite talent, just like Jackson Dart. Is this going to be the year? Probably not. I do see this Ole Miss team getting right back to where they were last year, probably next season. But I have a hard time seeing it this year. This is Lane Kiffin's 6th season. He's yet to make an SEC title game. He has obviously not made the playoffs. Did hit the portal once again. But I think the big concerns here are obviously experience, especially at the quarterback position, and overall depth of this team. They're not going to be as good as they were last year. I don't see, looked on these numbers and what we have Ole Miss, plus 1,000, and I have them at about plus 1,100 fair odds. So yeah, definitely not any value from the win the conference in my opinion. 8.5 wins. Just based on the schedule, I have them at 8.8 wins. So there is slight value to the over there if you like Ole Miss to get up to 9 wins this season. And looking at their schedule, Georgia State at Kentucky in a revenge spot. I don't think they're going to lose to Kentucky 2 years in a row, even though it's going on the road. Arkansas, Tulane. LSU is going to be a tough one at home, though. By Washington State. They have a nice little back-to-back stretch here with at Georgia and at Oklahoma. That's going to be difficult. And then South Carolina at home, Citadel, Florida at home, bye week, and then at the in the Egg Bowl at Mississippi State. So not the most difficult schedule outside of that little back-to-back road game here with Georgia and Oklahoma. Obviously, LSU, South Carolina, and Florida sprinkled in there. I think they can win a couple of those games. Maybe lose to Georgia, go on the road, beat Oklahoma. Yeah, there's a clear path to the over in 9 wins here. So this is one that I do see a little bit of value on, and still uncertainty at quarterback. We know Austin Simmons is elite and is going to be really good. He is only a sophomore, so his first year starting, so makes me a little nervous there, jumping on this win total over with a couple of these road spots. But yeah, I think Ole Miss is an interesting team. And last but not least, we have Oklahoma. This is our dark horse coming out of this conference. And there's a few teams that I could have put in here. Looking on the outside looking in, you have Florida at plus 1,800, South Carolina at plus 2,000. Both, with Norris Sellers in South Carolina, DJ Lagway at Florida. I don't have any value here on them to win the conference. Auburn, too, is kind of sneaky with Jackson Arnold coming in, the Oklahoma transfer. But yeah, if we're going to look at a true dark horse, a team that you can get at plus 4,000 to win this conference, I love me some Oklahoma. And once again, I don't know if I'm stepping in it here. I don't know if I'm way off base. I could be. Although looking at Phil Steele, he does have this team projected as the 4th behind Alabama, fourth best team in the SEC this year. It's his dark horse as well. So, I trust his opinion, and it kind of backs up what I'm seeing with this team. And to be honest, this was a 6-win team last year. 6 wins in the SEC. They won a few big games, including at Alabama, number 7th ranked Alabama, to kind of put them on the outside looking in for the playoff berth. It's a big upset. Beat them 24-3 too at home, and also beat Auburn as well. There are only 2 SEC wins from last year, but we know Brett Venables can coach a defense, and what he was missing was the skill players on the offensive side of the ball, including quarterback. And so they went out and he brought in QB John Mateer from Washington State, along with the offensive coordinator Ben Arbuckle from Washington State. The O-line is going to be much improved, barring any injuries like last year. They went out and got Jaden Ott from Cal to lead this backfield. And to say this offense is going to be improved is an understatement. I mean, obviously, John Mateer going from Washington State and that hybrid schedule they played last year to an SEC schedule is going to be much more challenging. But with what Oklahoma can do on the defense side of the ball, they have an elite interior on defense. It's a team that's going to be very hard to run against. Their defensive backfield is a little less talented than the rest of the defense, but nobody's going to go in and push Oklahoma around on either side of the ball next year. And if they can get some elite quarterback play from John Mateer, if he can prove that his performance at Washington State is legit and he can translate that to the SEC, then this team's going to be right in contention into the year for a playoff berth. Looking at their schedule, it is difficult, not going to lie. That's the one thing that gives me a little bit of concern about Oklahoma. They do got Michigan week 2. That game is at home. This will be Bryce Underwood's second start. True freshman quarterback coming into Norman. Yeah, I got Oklahoma winning that game. A couple non-con, Illinois State, Temple should be wins. They got Auburn at home, who they beat last year. Got Jackson Arnold coming back to Norman. That's going to be a win. I mean, this team, then they have a bye, and then Kent State. So they're going to be 5-0, in my opinion, 5-0 going into Texas in the Red River Shootout in Dallas, neutral site. And that's going to be a tough game, but I think Oklahoma's going to give them a ball game. I cannot wait to see what that line's going to be. Do follow it up with what could be a slight letdown spot going at South Carolina. That game makes me a little nervous. Ole Miss at home, once again, you have the young QB, Austin Simmons, coming in, playing on the road in Norman. Brett Venables' defense is going to be ready for that. Going to give him a tough time. Tennessee, I think they can go in and beat Tennessee, but that's going to be a tough road game. They get a bye, and then they have at Alabama, which would be a real tough game going on the road, trying to beat the Crimson Tide, and then they finish up with Missouri, and then a real tough one at LSU. So LSU, Alabama, at Tennessee, at South Carolina, and then Texas, and then Michigan at home, Auburn at home. So look at this win total. Got Oklahoma sitting at 6.5 wins. It's heavily juiced at minus 150 to the over, but this is one I'm liking. I think this is worst case 7-win team. They were a 6-win team last year with everything they went through throughout the season. So you can't tell me this team's not going to win 7 games this year, even with this schedule, with the improved offense. Defense was already good last year, borderline really good, and they're going to be much better, if not improved. And this is a make or break year for Brett Venables too. This is his 4th year as well. And this is his first head coaching job. He goes back to Norman after winning national championships as DC and Clemson. Has a 6-win season in his first year. Follows up with a 10-win season. Back down to 6 wins. And I think 6.5 is a great bet, depending on what price you can find. Minus 150 might be a little high. If you can get something a little bit less than that, if this line hasn't already moved up, even at minus 150, I think there's value here. Everything tells me I'm at 7 wins flat without any adjustments. This is my early preseason lines without any adjustments so far. I think we can get to the over here. That's what I'm eyeing up. And then to win the conference, like I said, plus 4,000. That is a little low. I have a more than 2% chance around, plus 4,500-ish to win this conference. So would like to have got a better number there. I don't think I can get on the 4,000. but we'll see. There's still some time, still some adjustments to make leading up to the season. But Oklahoma's our dark horse, man. Watch out for this team. And that does it, folks. So as I mentioned, we have one more college football preview episode coming up. Then we're going to bounce back into the NFL for a few weeks once training camp kicks off. You can do all the conference previews, preseason futures bets, win totals, conference championships, divisional championships, all that fun stuff. And we'll still be in tune with college leading up to week 0. By mid-August, we'll have our week 0 lines, week 1 lines ready to go. We'll be finalizing our futures portfolio. Any bets that we've talked about over the past few weeks that we haven't fired on yet, we'll discuss what we're actually getting in on, what we're not, and why. And thanks for tuning in once again. If you enjoy the pod, please rate us, review us, provide feedback, connect with us on all the social medias. We really appreciate it. Check out the new newsletter on Substack, or just go to my link in bio and submit your email address, and you'll get registered and hooked up there. It's a free newsletter once a week with all the bets we have. Also, if you want to follow in real time the bets we are making, jump on the Action Network at NT Sports 22, and you can follow along there. We'll have all of our bets in real time. I may not be able to. Sometimes lines pop up, and I jump on things. I don't always have time to post them and talk about them online right away, but they'll be in the app with the rationale behind the bets, and we'll talk about them in the podcast and the newsletter as well. So, thanks again. Appreciate you stopping by. Next week, we'll break down the group of 5 and the independents, betting preview for who we think could sneak into the playoff as that group of 5 team. And that's it, everybody. Good bets, good times. Cheers.